In modern society, we are not only faced with addiction to alcohol, cigarettes, or drugs, but also to less tangible addictions: smartphones, social media, fast food, shopping, and even negative emotions. What seems like ordinary behaviors can end up dominating our lives, both mentally and physically. Addiction is not merely a dependence on a substance or behavior, but rather a manifestation of an inner soul unable to face its emptiness. Buddhism sees addiction not as an external enemy, but as the fire burning within the mind, known as tanha, craving. Buddha taught that from craving comes sorrow and fear. He who is free from craving is free from sorrow and fear. Addiction stems from the mind's attachment to temporary pleasure, forgetting the impermanent nature of these desires. When the mind gives rise to cravings, it repeats over and over, growing stronger and becoming a chain that binds us unknowingly. Today, addiction can take many forms. Substance addiction, such as alcohol, drugs, cigarettes. Behavioral addiction, like overeating, gambling, sex, social media. Emotional addiction, such as anger, fear, anxiety. These make us dependent on a particular emotional state. The impacts of addiction are widespread, destroying health, relationships, finances, and self-esteem. More dangerously, it clouds our perception, leading people to live without true mindfulness. Addiction does not arise from weakness, but from unhealed pain. Many addicted individuals engage in something to escape sadness, loneliness, or trauma. In Buddhism, this is known as avijja, ignorance, the inability to see the truth. When we fail to understand the nature of suffering, we seek to escape it through pleasure. Addiction is simply the easiest route to avoid facing the truth. According to the Four Noble Truths, the foundation of Buddhist teachings, life is suffering, dukkha. Suffering is caused by craving, samudaya. Suffering can be ended by eliminating craving, nirodha. The path to the cessation of suffering is the Noble Eightfold Path, magga. Addiction is a clear expression of samudaya. It is the attachment to cravings, the inability to control the mind. Buddhism does not condemn those who suffer from addiction, but instead invites them to look within and realize the root causes of their suffering, leading to liberation. Overcoming addiction begins not with external actions, but with true understanding of oneself. When we understand that cravings are not our true nature, but merely temporary states, we will no longer be controlled by them. The next part will delve into practical methods, based on the Buddhist path, to overcome addiction and live a peaceful, liberated life. Buddhist methods for overcoming addiction, applying Buddhist principles to face and overcome addiction. In the journey to overcome addiction, the first step is not running away from temptation, but confronting suffering. Buddhism teaches that suffering is an inevitable part of life. Denying or trying to escape it only intensifies it. Instead of rejecting it, we must accept suffering as part of our transformation. By facing suffering, we can transform and liberate ourselves. The more we avoid, the deeper we sink into craving. By confronting it, we gain the opportunity for transformation and liberation. Mindfulness is the practice that helps us return to the present moment, clearly recognizing thoughts and emotions as they arise. When facing temptation, mindfulness enables us to recognize cravings and learn how not to be swept away by them. Meditation is also a powerful tool to calm the mind. When we sit quietly, focusing on the breath, we realize that cravings, fears, or anxieties are merely temporary thoughts. By meditating, we can calm strong emotions and take control of our feelings. A helpful method is vipassana meditation, which helps us see the impermanent nature of everything. Even if the craving is intense, we understand that it will pass as long as we do not cling to it. When the mind is overwhelmed by cravings, we can use several tools from Buddhism to regain control. One of the most important tools is transforming thoughts. For example, when you feel the urge to smoke or eat junk food, Instead of focusing on the craving, redirect your thoughts to something positive. Think about things you love, things that bring you joy and inner peace. By doing so, you no longer focus on the feeling of lack, but instead feel the fullness within. In a world full of temptations and suffering, Buddhism advises us to maintain inner peace. Buddha taught, "Be like the calm lake. No matter how strong the wind blows, the lake remains undisturbed." This means that even when facing challenges, our mind can still remain peaceful and alert. To maintain inner peace, we need to master thoughts. Recognize that all thoughts are impermanent and have no lasting value. Accept change. Everything, including cravings, is temporary, and if we do not hold on to them, they will pass. Practice compassion. Forgive yourself and face every temptation with compassion and patience. This part discusses the Buddhist methods for overcoming addiction, from recognizing suffering to practicing mindfulness, meditation, and maintaining inner peace. These tools not only help us overcome present temptations, but also create a stable foundation for a peaceful and liberated life. True freedom and lasting peace. Applying Buddhist wisdom to achieve liberation and inner peace in life. The freedom that Buddhism aims for is not freedom in material or escaping responsibilities, but liberation from attachments and inner suffering. To be truly free, we must overcome dependence on external things, such as addiction, cravings, and negative emotions. Buddhism teaches that freedom is not the absence of suffering or temptation, but the ability not to be controlled by them. True freedom comes from actively mastering the mind and not being swept away by harmful feelings. Buddhism defines happiness as not coming from external factors like wealth, power, or success. True happiness comes from inner peace and the ability to let go of unnecessary cravings. When we understand that everything is impermanent, nothing can hold us back forever. True freedom comes from letting go and realizing that nothing lasts. Being free in the soul means no longer being attached to temptations or bad habits, such as addiction. An important aspect of overcoming addiction is forgiving oneself. Many addicted individuals are not weak, but carry guilt and suffering within them. Buddhism teaches that one of the essential steps to liberation is forgiving oneself. Compassion and forgiveness are not just for others, but first for ourselves. When we forgive ourselves, we no longer punish ourselves and create inner conflicts. This clears the path to peace. Overcoming addiction is an important step, but maintaining liberation and peace requires persistence and daily practice. Buddhism does not view liberation as a one-time event, but as a continuous process of practicing mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness helps us maintain awareness in every action and thought. Meditation helps calm the mind and gain clarity about our emotions and behaviors. By maintaining these practices every day, we continue to keep our awareness and avoid being swept away by bad habits or cravings. Persistent practice strengthens our mental fortitude and ensures lasting liberation. Ultimately, overcoming addiction is not just a short-term journey to stop a bad habit. It is a long journey of continuous development of mindfulness, meditation, and compassion to seek liberation and inner peace. True freedom is not about avoiding temptation, but about not being controlled by it. Buddhism teaches that we cannot avoid suffering, but we can learn to face and overcome suffering through wisdom and compassion. The journey to overcome addiction is part of a larger journey, the journey to seek liberation and peace within. When we understand and practice the teachings of Buddha, we will realize that true freedom comes from within, from mastering the mind and letting go of unnecessary attachments. With methods from Buddhism such as mindfulness, meditation, and compassion, we can overcome any addiction. It is important not just to stop the addiction, but to continue the journey of inner development to achieve true freedom and peace in life.